So you double check your texts, you replay conversations trying to figure out what you did wrong, and you feel this low hum or dread whenever someone you love goes quiet. And you tell yourself, stop it. Maybe you are being too much or dramatic, but you cannot. You have read the books, maybe you've even been to therapy or are going to therapy, and you know you have anxious attachment. But here's the thing that nobody is telling you about this. Knowing is not the same as healing it. And that gap between knowing and healing is exactly what this video is about. Hi, I'm Karina Aybar, psychotherapist and coach, and I make videos about setting boundaries without feeling guilty, parentification, generational trauma recovery, and emotional regulation so that you can understand why you feel the way you do and how to heal it with compassionate and practical tools. If that is the kind of content that you need right now, make sure that you subscribe because what we do here goes a lot deeper than just communicating your needs. So let's start by reframing what anxious attachment actually is, because most content gets this wrong. Anxious attachment is not a personality flaw, and it's not neediness or being too sensitive or too much. Anxious attachment is a survival strategy that your nervous system learned early on. When you were a child, the people you depended on for safety were likely inconsistent, sometimes warm, sometimes distant, and sometimes present or sometimes unavailable. And your young nervous system, which is wired for connection above almost everything else, it learned that love was unpredictable. So it developed a very logical response. Stay hypervigilant, watch for signs, monitor for distance, do whatever it takes to keep people close, because losing connection felt on a biological level like a threat to your survival. And here's the part that is most important. That strategy worked back then, and it helped you survive your childhood. And the problem is that your nervous system never changed. So now at 30 or 40, even 50, 60, doesn't matter, whenever and however you are watching this, you are still running that same old code and still monitoring, still bracing for the worst, waiting for the other shoe to drop, still trying to earn safety in relationships instead of resting in it. And that is not a character flaw. That's an unhealed nervous system pattern. Now, this is what therapy often misses. And don't get me wrong, I love therapy and I am a therapist myself. But I want to be really honest with you about something. A lot of traditional talk therapy focuses on insight. You learn that you have an anxious attachment, you trace it back to your childhood, you understand your patterns, and that's genuinely valuable. That is part of the process. But insight alone doesn't rewire the nervous system, because here's what happens. You can be in a session on Thursday, fully understand that your partner going quiet for 3 hours is not them abandoning you. Intellectually, you get it. And then let's say that Friday, they don't text back and your whole body goes into a threat response, an emotional flashback. Your heart is racing. Your stomach is tight. You have intrusive thoughts flooding in, and you are refreshing Instagram to see if they're online. And that is not a thinking problem. That is a body problem, or should I say opportunity. You see, the anxious attachment response lives in your autonomic nervous system, specifically in the part of you that scans constantly for signs of danger in relationships. And you cannot think your way out of a nervous system response. You have to work with the body directly. This is what somatic approaches, nervous system work, and relational healing actually target. not just the story, but the sensation as well, the pattern that lives below the words. I want to take a moment here and just name what this actually feels like, because I think a lot of you have spent years being told that your reactions may be clingy or needy, and nobody has ever just said, well, this is what's happening inside you, and it makes complete sense. When you send a text and don't hear back, and that familiar dread starts to creep in, what's actually happening is that your nervous system has detected a threat, not a logical one, not a real danger, but a pattern match to old pain. Your body releases cortisol, your chest tightens, and your thoughts start to race and loop. You might feel restless, or you might go completely numb and scroll on your phone or for an hour without even realizing why. And that is hypervigilance. That is your nervous system doing exactly what it was trained to do. And here is the cruelest part. The anxious activation itself can push the very connection that you are seeking away. You text again. You need reassurance. You get clingy, or you shut down, or you pick up a fight just to get some kind of response, just to end the uncertainty. Because uncertainty in connection is the thing your nervous system cannot tolerate. And it is not necessarily manipulation, but it is not immaturity either. It is an unregulated nervous system doing the only thing that it knows how to do. And this is what happens commonly with my clients and members, high-functioning, hyper-independent women who end up in this cycle. So what does healing actually look like? I want to give you 3 things that are genuinely different from what most advice tells you. Tool number 1, learn to recognize the window before you act. The most important skill in nervous system healing is learning to catch the activation before you react. Not suppress it, but catch it. This means developing body awareness. You want to start noticing, what are my first physical cues that I'm going into threat response? For most people, it's something like tightness in the chest, or a sudden constriction in the throat, shallow breathing, or restlessness in the hands or legs. When you can name that early, you have a window, maybe 30 seconds, and that's okay. That's enough. Maybe 2 minutes where you can interrupt the old pattern before the behavior kicks in. I call this the name it to tame it window. Just noticing this is activation. Just saying that out loud. This is my nervous system responding to perceived threat. This is not a fact about my relationships or about my relationship in particular. So do a scan. Maybe write it down on your phone's notes section and find out whether you have reason, evidence to feel the way that you are, or if this is an old narrative showing up and trying to sabotage yourself and your relationships. You see, that small moment of naming it, it's not avoidance, it's regulation. And regulation is the foundation of everything else. Tool number 2, co-regulate before you try to self-regulate, right? So here is something most self-help content misses. Humans are not designed to regulate our nervous systems alone. We are wired for what's called co-regulation, meaning we calm down through safe connection with another person. This is actually why anxious attachment makes so much sense. Your nervous system learned early that it couldn't rely on another person to help it feel safe. So it had to work overtime alone more than other people who have a more secure attachment and more predictable and safer environments and emotional reassurance, you see? So that's not your fault. Real healing means slowly, incrementally, learning that it is safe to let someone else's calm reach you. This might be a therapist. It may be a trusted friend, a group community, such as our Self-Worth Hub, or even online. I often recommend Adult Children of Dysfunctional Families, ACOA, and if you believe that you are Codependent Anonymous. And I know that this may carry a stigma, but trust me, these are invaluable resources because we heal in community. And it is so important to realize that you're not alone, that there are many people from many socioeconomic backgrounds that struggle with this as well. So just know that there's nothing wrong with you. You see, even if you have a pet, that could be something helpful. That could be a way where your anxiety can ease because you're connecting with your pet, and just sit there, hug your pet, or just make sure that you can have a calm phone call with someone who is a safe person for you. The goal is not to need anyone or to isolate, right? But the goal is to expand your capacity to receive steadiness from others without testing it, without pushing it away, without needing to earn it first. You see, often we think that because we're having a conflict and we are anxiously attached in love, that we need the reassurance from another person. So in these moments of an emotional flashback where you are feeling that you are dysregulated, you may reach out to the wrong people. You may reach out to an ex. You may reach out to people in the past that are readily available, but that you know, your nervous system knows that they're not healthy for you. So these are the moments where we need to make sure that we have a list of people that we trust. Name them and make sure that you speak with them in advance, not when you are in an emotional flashback or feeling down, but make sure that these are the people that you can trust. But trust me, as I mentioned, I will link some resources for you that are free, and you can attend online meetings as well. And if you are able, you can also check out our Self-Worth Hub community. Now, tool number 3, practice tolerating the gap. Let's practice tolerating that uncomfortable feeling without filling it in. And I know that this one is hard, but it is transformational. The gap is that space between stimulus and response. Your partner is quiet. There's a gap. Your nervous system wants to fill it fast. Text again. Ask if everything is okay. Create a conflict just to get a reaction. Sabotage without you knowing or intending to. Or simply reading too much in between the lines or their body language when their quiet may be just quiet. You see, healing means learning to sit in that gap, even for a few minutes, longer than you could before. Maybe this time around is 1 minute, next time it's 1.5 or 2. Slow progress is better than none. You see, you can use some breathing exercises here. Just inhale and then exhale with a prolonged This can activate your parasympathetic nervous system and gives you an internal massage. You breathe through it before you let all the catastrophic story and thoughts take over, because they will try to. Because this exhale activates your parasympathetic system, which is the rest and connect branch of your nervous system. So let's do it one more time, right? In through your nose, expanding your belly. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold it for 4. And then exhale for 6 with a prolonged Do you notice the difference? I hope it is helpful to you. I know it's very simple, but it is something I practice a lot with my clients and members, right? And while you are breathing, you can say internally, my nervous system is reacting to a pattern. I am physically safe right now. I can wait, right? You're not suppressing the emotion. What you are doing is you are widening the window so you can respond instead of react. And this also goes for those of you who are anxiously attached or are triggered by a partner who is avoidant or there is evidence that they may be doing something wrong. That's why I am a strong proponent of a multifaceted approach to healing. Let's draw from cognitive behavioral therapy. Let's look for the evidence that they are doing something wrong, that they are neglecting you then. And then let's look for the evidence against it. Please compare the two and then make that decision. Because more often than not, when you're anxiously attached, or let's say you are more codependent, you tend to question your decisions. You tend to give to your detriment. And I am sure you've been told that you are the most selfless person. But is that selflessness or codependency? That is something to look into. And make sure to check out my video on the 3 signs that your empathy might have crossed codependency. I will link it as well, and it is linked on this video. So remember, I want you to hear this before we close. Healing anxious attachment is not just an inside job. You can do all the breath work and the somatic exercises and the journaling, and you will make real progress. But at some point, healing has to happen in relationship, because that's where the wound formed, and that's where the nervous system learns that new things are possible. That means that you need corrective relational experiences, moments where you risk being seen and nothing catastrophic happens. And let's say that people do let you down. Remember that you will let them down as well, because we are perfectly imperfect. And in our relationship, these are opportunities for growth. That doesn't mean that you have to isolate completely and not open yourself up to relating to someone else or to having a romantic relationship again. It's one day at a time, one step at a time, one relationship at a time, where you learn to set love and limits, where you speak your truth. And if they cannot hold the space for that, then you can reevaluate. But remember that we must be willing to show up in the same way that we would like for others to show up for us. So look for the evidence, do not isolate. Let's build moments where someone says, I love you, or someone says, you annoyed me, and that's okay, right? Moments where you are scared, even when you are not performing. This is why community matters. This is why a therapeutic relationship matters. This is why the quality of the relationship you invest in matters. You cannot heal anxious attachment in isolation, and you cannot heal it in relationships that confirm your worst fears. You heal it in spaces where safety is practiced over and over until your nervous system starts to believe it. Make sure that you are compassionate and patient with yourself in the process. And now, if this video resonated with you, if you felt something click for you, I want you to know that recognition is the beginning. And again, you're not broken or too much or clingy. You learn to survive in an environment that required hypervigilance. Make sure you drop a comment and tell me, which of these 3 tools do you want to try first? I read every single comment. And if you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe, because I have a whole series on nervous system healing, people pleasing, setting boundaries, and relational patterns healing. Now, I will see you in the next video, and please remember your resilience.